ਅੱਜ ਦੇ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਪੱਖ ਦੀਆਂ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਬਹੁਤ-ਬਹੁਤ ਸਵਾਗਤ। ਮੈਂ ਦਵਿੰਦਰ ਤੂਰ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਹੋਣਗੇ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਜਿਮ ਕੈਰੀਗਿਆਨਿਸ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਜੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੇ, ਖਬਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਹੇ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਬਰ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਵਾਦ ਵਿਵਾਦ ਖੜਾ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ, ਜਿਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਿਟੀ ਕੌਂਸਲ ਨੇ ਪੋਜੀਸ਼ਨ ਲਈ ਹੋਈ ਆ। ਪਿਛਲੇ ਜੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਕੌਂਸਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਹੀਅਰਿੰਗ ਵੀ ਹੋਈ ਸੀ। ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਲੈਂਗੁਏਜ ਇਸ ਡਿਬੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਊਗੀ ਉਹ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਹੋਊਗੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਮਿਸਟਰ ਜਿਮ ਸਪੀਕਸ ਓਨਲੀ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼। So first of all, let me welcome Mr. Jim. Mr. Jim, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Vaheguru ka khalsa, Vaheguru ki fateh.
Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh. Let's start from there. I just want to know a little bit, can you give us a little bit introduction about yourself?
I am a city councillor, first term. Before that, I was the federal member of parliament in the same area, Scarborough Agincourt, for 25 and a half years. And I've been to India something like 35 times. I've been to the Punjab almost every time, and very close to the South Asian community. Both Punjabis and Indians and Pakistanis.
Okay, Mr. Jim, you were in the news about the taxi dispute in Toronto. Can you give me a brief idea that what is going on in Toronto about the Uber taxi and the city of Toronto?
Number one, I want to thank you for having me on your program. Uber is a disruptive technology that has emerged around the world in something like 100 plus countries. And they also came to Toronto, Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, London, Kitchener-Waterloo, Montreal. And Uber, the challenge in Toronto was, is Uber a taxi brokerage, a delivery company, like transportation company, or was it a technology company? Uber claimed that it was a technology company that was putting riders and drivers together. City of Toronto said, no, you're a taxi cab company, you're a taxi brokerage, you're doing taxi cab work, gypsy taxis, and we took them to court.
Okay.
Judge Daphne looked at it and says, no, this doesn't fit your model, because when you say taxi, it's you pick up the phone, you call a brokerage, they send a car. So the judge said, it's an app that puts a rider and a rider as well as the driver together. Well, there was nothing more than a taxi cab company. So Uber challenged us, and Uber was operating outside the law. It was breaking all kinds of rules, laws, and regulations.
Okay, so give me your point of view that why Uber taxi won't call themselves a brokerage firm though?
Well, because they're outside the law, and if you're outside the law and you don't call yourself a brokerage firm, then you don't have to pay brokerage fees, which means you don't have to license yourself.
How much is approximately the brokerage fee though?
It depends how big you are and how small you are. However, the taxi cab industry in the city of Toronto gives the city close to $15 million. Okay. There's fees for being a driver, there's fees for having the cab, there's fees for the brokerage. So altogether, that's $15 million.
From all the companies?
From all the companies in the city of Toronto.
Okay.
And the drivers and the fleet operators.
Okay.
There's 15,000 people that are involved in the industry.
Okay.
All of a sudden comes Uber, and Uber says, we got insurance. Not a problem. We got a $5 million insurance.
Okay.
Well, this insurance was only to protect Uber company. Was not there to protect the Uber drivers. It was not, or their partners, or what they call partners, and was not there to protect the riders. And on September the 10th, Uber put out a press release saying any complaints or any difficulties that arise between the rider and the driver has to be taken up by the driver. Uber is not held responsible, which means that if you get into an accident, don't come to us to look for insurance. There was an accident in Toronto, and the Uber driver went to his insurance. The insurance says that under the section of the Highway Traffic Act, which is HTA, Highway Traffic Act, there's a section there, 39.2, states that if you are transporting somebody for money, you need to have commercial insurance. Well, the drivers don't have commercial insurance, and Uber does not provide for them to have commercial insurance. Therefore, if an accident happens, the rider can turn around and cannot sue Uber, they will sue the driver. And if the driver doesn't have insurance, then he will personally be on the hook. And if, let's say, if somebody gets paralyzed, the driver can end up paying thousands of dollars, which means he will lose his money, he will lose his car, his house, and everything else in the court. That's one of the things that Uber was breaking the law provincially.
Okay, so did they agree to provide the commercial license insurance yet or not?
Well, they're looking to provide commercial insurance through a special deal with Intact. Intact is looking to see if they can bring Uber and Uber X drivers under some sort of an insurance.
So will you be satisfied if they provide you?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
In order to get insurance, that kind of insurance, and if it's not commercial, it's only for Uber drivers, because what they're looking for, an Uber driver drives 10, 20 hours a week, and he or she does not want to drive anymore. So you're going to have special insurance. Turn on, turn off. So if you're driving, you turn on the insurance and it goes a little bit higher, or you turn it off. There you need special legislation, and that has to go to the province. So if it goes to the province, you have to have an introduction of the law. It has to have first reading, second reading. It has to go to committee hearings, and then it has to become a law. So that's a year away. Now, if Uber drivers want to get commercial insurance, which is full taxi insurance, it will cost them something between $800 to $1,000 a month. That will raise their prices. So once it raises their prices, they will compete with a taxi at the same level.
Okay.
So they will lose money. The other thing is that Uber did not charge HST. Uber on letterhead to a customer, when the customer wrote in and he says, "Can I please have the breakdown of HST?" They were not charging HST. Uber had come to the committee and said that because our drivers are earning less than $30,000, the specification on HST, they don't have to declare HST. Back in 1991, the GST regulations clearly stated that all taxi cab drivers, all limousine operators had to register for GST. It doesn't matter how much they were making. So once we harmonize our sales tax with the province and the federal government, that rule, the old rule, stays, which means that all their rides are taxable.
But sir, just hold on for a second. I have a question right here. Charging GST and charging GST or HST, this is either a provincial or a federal issue. Why, as a city councillor, you are opposing this? If they're not charging this, either provincial or federal government should involve. Am I right?
2010, sir, in 2010, when we changed the rates, and in our legislation in the City of Toronto, it stated we're upping the rate, the tariff, because they need to include HST, which makes it part of our responsibility. So, no insurance, not charging HST, clearly demonstrated they're not charging HST, breaks the federal and the provincial laws. Now, let's leave the federal and the provincial laws aside. We go to the municipal rules and regulations. The municipal rules and regulations state that you as a driver have to go to driving school, have to go to taxi school for 21 days to get a license. You must also have a cab, like a car, which is 4 years old. Uber says it can be up to 10 years old. And we also state that we need to examine this car once a year. Uber says, no, we will do our own examination. And you need to get police clearance and also police clearance for vulnerable people, which means local police and RCMP. Uber says, don't worry about it, we'll get you that police clearance, and after you apply, you're out on the road in 2 days. Now, to get police clearance in the City of Toronto takes 6 to 8 weeks. To get RCMP clearance takes 3 to 4 months. We've seen clearly over the summer, 3 drivers of Uber were charged with sexual assaults on women. One of them is still being searched for. So I got 5 daughters, I have a wife, I will have difficulty in allowing my family to go in an Uber cab.
Are you telling me, sir, that there was no case of any taxi driver in Toronto area never got charged for sexual assault in a cab?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir, they did. And the other thing why they were charged was because there was a camera in the taxi cabs.
Since when, sir? Since when?
Oh, we have cameras in the Toronto taxi cabs for the last 5 to 6 years.
So before 5-6 years ago, though, there was no cameras, though.
Right, but right now there's a cameras in every taxi cab. That's the rule, that's the law, that's the legislation.
Okay,
So
if I agree,
something happens in the taxi cab when the person has been driven, that's a permanent record for a year.
Okay.
So if Uber drivers want to be regulated and there will a level playing field, put cameras in the cars.
Okay,
put
that's
a
fine.
roof light on. Put a sticker in the back, like the light that has the police. I mean, if you push that light, it gets the police.
Yeah.
Get commercial insurance. Get your vehicles to be less than 4 years old. Apply for a taxi license, and then apply for a brokerage license and go for it.
But
Uber, the only thing Uber has is just the app.
Sir,
Every other, yes, sir.
let's go to the main issue. You are telling me that they should apply for the brokerage license. Anybody can apply and get the brokerage license. But
Once they get the brokerage license,
but you're not hitting the nail yet. You are trying to cover that about the taxi license plate. Who will give them a taxi license plate?
Hold on, sir. Once they get a brokerage license,
Okay.
then they can invite City of Toronto legislated cabs to work for them.
Okay.
You see, the point is not Uber X or Uber, the point is Uber X. Uber X is an illegitimate run operation that allows any driver with any car to pick up passengers.
Okay.
If Uber wants to be regulated, they can apply for a brokerage license, invite taxi cabs to go and work for them, and they're a brokerage using the Uber app.
Like why should they ask you to regulate them? You have the power to regulate them. Why don't you go ahead and regulate them?
So, well, that's what we did, sir. That's what exactly.
So tell us something what happened in the council on that day.
Okay.
Okay.
So the problems, I mean, we talked about the problems and the difficulties. So in July, I put forward a motion that stated that we should bring Uber and the taxi industry on a level playing field.
Okay.
There were hearings over the summertime. We heard from the taxi industry. I was at every one of those hearings, and we also heard from Uber. I was not invited to go hear Uber, Lyft, or Sidecar and all that stuff, and that's fine. Now, the legislation that passed, there were 9 points to the motion. Point 7 and 8 said that we should examine to see if there was a product there of insurance, and if there was an insurance product to cover UberX. Then 8 stated that we should let UberX operate on its own, have its own background checks, and have its own maintenance of their cars, and they were to maintain those records, and we were supposed to have oversight. Well, the committee that I'm the vice chairperson said no. There's no special deals for UberX, and there's no special coverage for insurance and or cars deals and everything else. Everybody should be legislated and regulated with the city. And the first part of the motion, we defined what a taxi brokerage is. So we legislated the taxi brokerage, and if Uber wants to operate, it has to apply for a brokerage license. So right now, UberX is an illegal operation, is an illegitimate transportation of people. So right now, the one thing that we need to do is regulate and make sure that UberX stays out of business. Uber as a company, if they want to be a taxi brokerage and operate Uber cabs, regular cabs, taxi cabs that are regulated, that are legislated, and drivers that got background checks and have commercial insurance, not a problem. There's a lot of independent taxi cab drivers that might want to join Uber. So Uber forms its own brokerage. But UberX is illegal as of this time in Toronto.
When you say independent taxi drivers, do they have their own taxi license plates or not?
Their own taxi license plates. They have their own cabs.
If they don't have their own taxi license plate, will you allow them to drive for Uber or not?
You cannot drive for Uber as a driver, as like a regular car, not a taxi cab. You can't drive for Uber right now.
Okay, I'm giving you a simple example, sir. Let's say I'm driving a taxi in Toronto from last 10 years, and I don't have a taxi license plate. next time I want to drive for Uber, I had my medical check, I have my security check, I have the car eligible to be driven as a taxi. Can I drive for Uber without getting a taxi license plate or not?
No, sir, you cannot.
So you are protecting the interest of taxi license holders.
Hold on. You can drive for Uber if you drive a car which has a license.
Well, to get a license, you are telling me you don't have a license.
Well, if you don't
Since
have a
when
license, sir,
since when you freeze the taxi license plate, sir?
there's about 5,500 plates, sir, and we just
But
issued another
like,
100.
when was the last time you issued the new plates?
100 new plates were issued just as we speak right now. They've
So
been issued.
in the whole city of Toronto, you think you just need 100 drivers?
No, sir. In the whole city of Toronto, we have like 5,600 cars.
Exactly. But
Cars.
if you want to go ahead and if the market need, why city is involved to dictate the industry if there is a need or not?
Sir, Uber has 16,000 cars.
Yes.
You cannot have 16,000 cars in the city of Toronto running around. That's going to bring more chaos. That's going to bring more traffic congestion. And you're going to have people fighting in order to get a fare. You're going to have fights out on the street. And how many doctors can we have? Can we have 5,000 doctors in Canada? Can we have 20,000 teachers? Are we going to have Uber pizza? Are we going to have Uber doctors, Uber teachers?
So
you need to have rules and regulations. And if you want to be a doctor and you want to do an operation, you need to be licensed. Can you imagine an Uber
No.
doctor
I totally agree with you.
doing
You need a license.
okay.
You need every requirement.
Right.
What is regulated? But is it the city planning issue to regulate the competition or not? You are telling me there will be a lot of taxis, there will be a lot of doctors, there will be a lot of this. Is the city planning regulates this, that we need to control the competition?
The city right now has rules and regulations in order to protect the industry and also to work with the industry. Competition, if you're going to have 20,000 cars out there and people are not making any money, people are going to leave the industry, and then you're going to have a lawless industry without rules, laws, and regulations, and everybody's going to drive everybody around. And not only that, but you won't know whose cab you're getting in, and if it's truly Uber car, and it's truly regulated. Because as soon as you get into a taxi cab, you have the picture of the driver, and you know he's gone through police clearance and vulnerable people's checks. You know the car is maintained properly, and it's roadworthy, and you don't have to worry.
But
So
sir, I'm only asking a simple question. What is the rationale? Is city planning, like there is a rationale behind to protect the competition when you talk about the city planning?
It's not the competition, sir. It's to protect the citizens of the city of Toronto. That's where we're planning.
So
Can you imagine starting...
So if they
Can you
got...
imagine building cars? Hold on, I don't want to speak over you. Can you imagine building building houses and not have the right licenses? Can you imagine somebody coming to change your electrical wiring and not being a certified electrician? We need to have people that are certified in the field, and we need to have vehicles, or we need to have mechanism in order to make sure that they are regulated, legislated, and they have the right equipment in order to do it. I don't care if you're a forklift operator, I don't care if you're a doctor, I don't care if you're a teacher, I don't care if you're a builder. You need to know what you're doing, you need to be licensed. If you're not licensed, you're going to have the wild, wild west.
But how did
the city of Toronto?
How did you pick number like 5,600 cabs are enough for city of Toronto? So it means indirectly you're telling Uber by bringing even a single car, it will cause problems.
Sir, Uber is unlawful. Uber X is unlawful in the city of Toronto as we speak right now.
Okay,
and
but
we have bylaw officers that will start issuing them tickets. You cannot run a car and pick up passengers for hire if you're not legislated. And that comes from the province under the Highway Traffic Act. You must also have commercial insurance. That is something that the province puts together.
okay.
It's not the City of Toronto, and the City of Toronto says, how many taxi cabs do we need? There was a review with the industry. There was a 3-year review, and we said, okay, 5,500 plates. You can't have 20,000 cars because there's not a lot of demand. And you must also have vehicles.
How you know, sir,
hybrid.
there's no demand? How you know there's no demand?
Sir, when you have people that are sitting in the stall for an hour and they don't have a fare because Uber is undercutting the prices, and these people have lost 40 to 50% their income, that tells me that Uber is out there undercutting and Uber is going to get more drivers, and they're going to undercut, and they're going to undercar, and that's going to become a race to zero. Zero for HST, zero for police clearances, zero for safety in the cars, zero for having the cars that are safe, zero for commercial license, and at the end of the day, these people will become the wild, wild west. You're going to have more cars, and you're going to have drivers out on the street having fights with each other in order to pick up a car. And I've witnessed this in other countries that this happens.
Okay, as a city councillor, now you tell me, are you aware that the city license plates are sold in the industry by hundreds of thousands of dollars without paying any GST or HST on that, because nobody declares how much they charge for the plate too. In other words, can I ask you, are you covering their interest too, or you are just simply fighting against Uber?
Well, right now you're starting to talk about the shift drivers, and you're trying to
License
talk to the
plate,
people that are working.
is it regulated or not? Okay, how much they should charge?
Sir,
What
yes,
is the market price? Tell me, sir. Please tell me.
What the market bears.
Okay, if they charge $1 million, you will have a problem or not?
Right now, sir, the market bears about $100,000.
You expect somebody to drive a cab
If
and
that's
pay
what the market bears, sir,
$100,000,
that's fine,
and you
but
don't
right now
expect the
we're also
Uber
looking at the
drivers to
industry.
go through your regulations for security and safety and getting the insurance. If they abide by those regulations, then you will ask them to get a city license. You want them to pay $100,000 for the city license plate too?
Sir, the way the city council voted is that in order to be a taxi cab broker,
And you are not giving
we
away
must have
plates, sir.
cars that have plates. People that have worked all their lives in the industry. Sir, we gave 100 new plates, but you know what?
We don't
If
want.
in,
I'm not a
the
city of Calgary politician. I'm just asking this because there's it's
running around with unlegislated, okay. Right. Well, sir, in the city of Toronto, sir, the city council voted for legislation, voted for security, and voted for people to make sure that there's commercial insurance when people are riding, and to have checks and balances in the industry. Unfortunately, Uber is in trouble around the world. They've been ordered out of France. They've been ordered out of Germany. They were given 21 days to get out of Belgium. We've seen Uber drivers having problems in India. We've seen Uber drivers having problems right around the world. Just recently, down in New York, an Uber driver run over a mother and her 3 kids. So, I mean, you just don't get behind the wheel of the car and drive all day if you're not a professional driver. Taxi cab operators, people that drive taxi cabs, professional taxi cab drivers are professional drivers. They drive for a living. Uber drivers don't drive for a living. Uber drivers get a 5-minute video in order to watch how they're going to drive. That's not fair to the people, the 15,000 people that are involved in the industry. And right now, I have to let you know that the taxi industry, be it the shift drivers, be it the drivers, be it the brokerages, be it the fleet operators, be it anybody else, they're united to fight Uber. They've won, and we're going to move towards
But let me ask
Uber.
you about the
And
professional
legislation for Uber
drivers.
means
Let's say if
you wanna
somebody is
drive
driving in Toronto
you
for another
become a
10,
brokerage.
15 years, and after that he has proved the professionalism in terms of driving, providing safe and secure service. If it doesn't have the taxi license plate, that person will lose his job. Is the city's job to protect that person's jobs or not by giving him city license plate or not?
If more city
Okay,
license
so
plates are
in
required,
terms of,
as
I
we
don't
go
want to
through
put
it
a
and we do
personal
more
question,
reviews of
but
the
you
industry,
were
more
in
will
the
be issued.
rumors. Yeah.
No, but let me ask you
Yeah.
this other question. Let's ask you this other question. If somebody has a license to be a teacher and they cannot be a teacher, do we allow them to be an Uber teacher? By the phone, you put the app, you get an Uber teacher.
Are you
and
telling
then
me,
comes
sir,
to
you
your house
won't
and
allow
starts
to have a
teaching you
private schools or
without police
private
clearance?
teachers
Would you allow your
teaching
teacher
kids?
to, are you,
Well, they can open their own school, or they can teach the
Private
kids
schools,
at
sirs,
home
are
and by tutoring
regulated.
them.
They're
Are you going to
regulated, sir.
regulate them too?
but they're,
But why
Sir,
don't you
they're
regulate them
regulated-
by
they're
keeping the
regulated
city
and
taxi
legislated.
license plate aside?
Everything comes
If
with rules
Uber
and laws.
abides by
And
the
if
safe
people-
and secure environment of the customers and the drivers, why won't you allow them? I don't have a share in Uber,
I
sir.
think I'm
Why are
talking
you
to
giving
somebody
me?
that might wanna
I
have
think you
shares in
were
Uber.
rumored to be
I,
getting some
I'm-
donations from some interest, but I didn't. I'm asking you the other side of the story. Other side of the story, why you are not sharing the interest of the Uber
That's the
drivers.
other side of the story, sir. The other side of the story, there's no other side. Sir, the city of Toronto passed legislation to regulate Uber. If Uber does not want to be legislated, Uber has a choice. They can leave the city of Toronto. And we thank him for coming, and we thank him for
But
being
tell
here.
me,
Goodbye.
Uber can
But
leave.
before
No, no,
you
sir,
go,
Uber
make
can
sure that
leave.
you pay
What
your fair
about those
share of the
30,000
HST.
people who
Because
sent a
if
petition to
they
you?
render-
What about those 16,000 drivers who relied upon their living on Uber? Where they will go?
Sir, they were not running a legitimate business. Those 16,000 drivers that work for Uber, number one, Uber didn't tell them that they had to pay HST. Uber did not tell them that they have to have commercial insurance. Well, all of a sudden, are you going to become a teacher without having a license? All of a sudden, you're going to say, I'm a doctor without having to go to become to medical school and have a license? Can we allow anybody to be a heart surgeon without having a heart, number one, having insurance, and
just-
number two, being a qualified doctor? That's what these people were doing.
Okay,
They were
let's say,
gypsies. They were running around being unregulated, unlegislated. And that's why there's rules and laws in the country. And the City of Toronto
there's-
Council passed rules and laws. And right now, people have to abide by those rules and laws. If
Okay,
people
so
don't
there
like
is
the
no
legislation
Uber
and
service
rules
in
and laws,
Toronto as
well,
of
they have
now?
a choice. Do not operate.
so they
Uber
will be
cab,
charged
yes.
and they will be
Uber
asked to
X,
shut
they're
down their
still
business.
operating, but they're operating illegally. And
Okay,
will
so
be-
in future,
will be- there
what
will be
will be the
enforcement
future
and they
of
will be
Uber
charged. Yes,
drivers
sir.
now?
Uber drivers, if they want to drive, they should go and they want to
Is,
begin the
okay,
taxi
so
cab
there is a
business, they should
proper
go and become
schooling
taxi cab
for
drivers
to
and go
become a
school
taxi driver in
and get
City of Toronto,
regulated.
right? Okay, so
Yep, 20 days, something like 19, 20 days.
And if-
And you're going to have to get police clearances, and you're going to have to
and
get
if you guys
vulnerable
don't have
people
enough
checks.
city type
And if you wanna be a
taxi
taxi
license
cab
plate,
driver,
will you issue
then go
more or
ahead and do
not?
it. Sir, it's not the issue of enough cabs. It's the issue of being legislated and regulated. There's enough taxi cabs in Toronto to service the city of Toronto and its citizens. There's enough regular taxi cabs that have commercial insurance, that have drivers that have
Sir,
police
do you-
clearance
do
and
you-
vulnerable
I have a
people's checks
question.
in order to look after the needs of the city of Toronto. And the unlegislated,
Okay, you
unregulated
regulate
people
the
of Uber, unfortunately, sir,
brokerage fee
did
or
a
you
disservice
regulate
to the
the
city of
fees
Toronto.
the brokers charge to the drivers? Do you regulate or not?
That's between the drivers.
So if you-
you know what? The brokerage fees that the brokerage charges is less than Uber charges. Uber used to charge 20% per ride. Now they're charging 30% per ride. And if you don't do whatever they tell you, they cut you off the app, which means you don't have any more work. If you don't like the one brokerage, which is the regulated brokerage, you go to another one
Okay,
and
so
you
what-
still continue
what-
working. But if you're working for Uber, the first thing they don't like about
Okay,
you, they
let's
cut you
leave
off.
Uber alone.
So who's
There are a
got
lot of
people that are working
carpooling
under slave
services in
conditions?
every
Uber
city. I
does.
think there are a lot of carpooling services in Toronto too. Are you going to regulate them too or not? Because in other words, Uber is a ride-sharing service too.
If they're using if they are carpooling services charge
So that is
people for
illegal.
moving them around, they're illegal. As long as if you transport people for a fee, and if you're not a taxi cab company or a limousine company, you're doing it illegally according to the Highway Traffic Act. We don't write the Highway Traffic Act. The province writes the Highway Traffic Act. And the province says that you can be fined from $300 up to $20,000. We're only upholding the provincial legislation. If the province wants to change that legislation, it's up to the province. But the province has rules and regulations, Highway Traffic Act, in order to protect the citizens of the province.
So anyhow, I
we
think
have
there were
bylaws
some
in order to
allegations
protect
on
the
you that you
citizens of
got
the city of
half of
Toronto.
your funding from the taxi drivers. That's why you are opposing Uber. Are they true or not?
No, sir. No, sir. No. Sir, I have people donated through my website, and I welcomed all donations. And yes, there were people within the taxi cab industry that donated to me. So what? Is that against the law to receive donations from people?
Well, having
citizens
good
of the city of
relationship with
Toronto or
Co-op
citizens of the people of
Taxi,
Ontario?
you know the guy named Peter Jahaz.
It's not against the law. And they all got...
Yeah.
Sir, Peter Zahakos and I are friends for 40 years, even before I was elected. I have good working relationship with all the taxi industry, and I try to build good working relationship with Uber. Uber does not want to play by the rules, and unfortunately, I'm not interested. Anybody that plays by the rules and has my family home safe at night, and it's a taxi cab or a limo, which is legislated and regulated, and they pay all their fees, provincially, federally, and municipally, guess what? I'm supporting them. I'm not supporting bandits that come into the city that have cars that are more than 10 years old. I'm not supporting bandits that come and play in our city and do not have the regular police services check. And I'm certainly not going to support Uber by saying to the people, we're going to show you a video for 10 minutes, and after that you're a driver. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way in this country and in many countries, because the taxi industry in the city of Toronto that's been around since 1830 has provided a valuable service to the people of Toronto. It has gotten people safe at home at nights, and therefore, sir, I'm supportive of people that want regulation.
Uber abides by all the rules and the regulation in terms of safety and security of customers, drivers, and industry as a whole. But do you believe, under your conscience, that still Uber cannot perform or cannot operate in Toronto, because end of the day there will be a city taxi license plate issue too?
Sir, there is Uber, there's...
Yep.
Okay, there's Uber
Yep.
Cab, there's Uber X, there's
Okay.
Uber Pool, there's Uber
Okay.
Limo, there's all kinds of apps that Uber has. Uber X is the problem that we're talking about, not Uber Limo, which is regular limos. That the Uber X is an unregulated fact of their business. Uber is an app. It's a computer app. Now, everybody has apps. Co-op has apps, Beck has apps, Royal has apps, Diamond has apps, Maple Leaf has apps. Everybody has an app. So it's just an app, nothing else. But Uber X uses that app to act illegitimately, to act unlawfully. And that's the loophole that we closed. We defined what a taxi industry is, what's a taxi brokerage. And if Uber wants to get an Uber license and Uber brokerage, they can. And if they can attract people that have cabs to go and drive for them, by all means, let them. But they will be regulated, they will be legislated, just like all the other brokerages, just everybody else.
At some
When you're in
point,
doubt
you were saying that
of what you
it
use,
should be the
then,
same
you know
level
what?
playing
Get
field.
into a cab.
So like company like, okay, fair enough.
No, right now it is
Fair
the
enough.
level. No,
Like
right
if
now
Co-op
it is
was
one level
issue
playing
so
field.
many
One
hundreds of
level
plates
playing
at
field.
one
That's
point,
what we
are
legislated.
you going to issue the same number of plates to the Uber, because it will be a competition between them?
Sir, okay, okay. There's nobody in the industry that has more than 5 or 6 plates.
Why they have
All the plates
more
that
than
we
one
have,
plate?
most of
Why?
them are 1 or 2 plates per people.
Okay.
There's no like sir, Co-op does not have 1,200 plates. Co-op is a co-op where people that have plates bring the plate and work for Co-op. I think you're getting confused a bit here with the brokerage. A brokerage does not own the plates. They're dispatching. They're only dispatching. So if you call a cab and your cab is dispatched out of Co-op because you have an agreement with Co-op, that's where it is. Co-op does not own these cabs. Beck does not own the cabs. People take their license, they take their car, which is regulated, and then they go to Beck and say,
Okay,
I want to use
if I agree
your
with your
colours
words,
in
then
your
answer
company
me, sir.
in order to receive
Why one driver
customers."
needs more than one
So-
taxi license plate?
So Uber,
You just told me some people have 5 or 6 plates.
sir, there's hardly any drivers that have more than one taxi.
So why they need more than
Some
that?
people,
More
very
than one-
rarely, sir, very rarely. Some like
No.
100 to 200 people
I'm
have
getting to the black
plates.
market. You are staying away from
Well,
that,
sir,
sir.
we are getting away. We're getting away from standard plates, sir. Sir, we are getting away from standard plates. The standard plates were the ones that were able to be sold constantly. Right now, the City of Toronto is getting to the TTL. TTL is driver operator.
So one driver can
and
drive
once
on
you've
6
stopped
taxi
driving, you
license
lose your,
plate, and
you
you
lose your
think
license.
that can
That's where we're going right now. That's no, sir. What I'm trying to
Okay.
tell you, all the drivers, okay, all the licenses will
Okay.
be driver operator. That's where the city decided last year to go. But there were plates that were grandfathered
They have to be
from
sold
40,
within 10
50
years?
years ago, and those plates have to be sold within 10 years. So that's right. And then once the person buys it over, once that person buys it over and it is converted from standard plates to TTL, okay, we have three types of plates. We have TTL, we have ambassador plates, and we have the standard plates. Everything right now will be converted to TTL, which is driver operator. And the driver that has the plate, if he also wants to rent it at
Okay.
night because he can't work 24
So, but
hours,
you saying
he'll
that-
find some partner and then he will rent it to them. That's where we're moving to.
No.
So, like, I mean, this myth
Well,
that
I live
people
in
have
Calgary, sir,
1,500
and we
plates,
got
people
some
have
brokers who
1,000
has
plates.
more than
That's
500
a myth,
plates.
sir.
So
It does
I don't
not
know about
exist.
Toronto, but you said that one person has more than one plate and some has 5 or 6 plates.
Okay, sir, but okay, sir, in Calgary, the company has 500,
No, sir. No, they do.
500
Broker
plates.
owns
they
it.
do not
I am
own the
confirming
plates.
on the
There
air,
are people
they
that own
do.
the plates and they're going in.
Okay, but
Okay, all right. That's not how it works in Toronto, sir. Beck does not have 2,500 plates. Beck has 2,500
so-
partners that are under Beck, and the plates are owned by individual people.
But
Some
is
are-
it fair
some-
for
some are
those for that
driver-driven
person
operators,
who owns
some
or
are,
have 6 plates
leased.
to sublease? Well, Uber has problems, we know
Let's
it, but
get back-
taxi
let's
industry
get
has
back into
problems too.
Talking about Uber. You want to talk about other legislation? Uber? No, Uber is illegal. Right, and that's why we in the City of Toronto are doing a study and we're reporting back in April on what regulations we need for the taxi industry.
So are you planning to
Uber
go to court
X
to ask
is an
Uber
illegal
to stop
operation,
operation in
period,
Toronto
full
now?
stop. That's the problem. Sir, that will be up to the executive director of MLS. We just passed the bylaw last week. I'm not sure what she's going to be doing, but I'll tell you one thing. There will be crackdowns, and we also have asked the police chief, Mark Sanders, in order to start enforcement. So
Thank
right
you
now
very
we're looking
much.
into
We got your
enforcement,
view,
and if court
and
needs needed, court will be
ਦੋਸਤੋ
done.
ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਣ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਮ ਕੈਰੀਗਿਆਨਸ ਨੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਸਟੇਟ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਲਈ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਬਰ ਤੋਂ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਦੇ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡਾ ਇਹ ਮਕਸਦ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਬਰ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਮਾੜੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਚੰਗੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਟੈਕਸੀ ਇੰਡਸਟਰੀ ਦੀ ਹੈਲਪ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਸਾਈਡ ਤੋਂ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਜਿਮ ਕੈਰੀਗਿਆਨਸ ਇੱਕ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਰ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਉਬਰ ਦਾ ਇੰਨਾ ਵਿਰੋਧ ਕਿਉਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਮ ਨੇ ਥੋੜ੍ਹਾ ਜਿਹਾ ਛੇਤੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਆ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੰਟਰਵਿਊ ਹੁਣ ਇੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਊਗੀ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰੂੰਗਾ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਫਿਰ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸ਼ੋ ਥੈਂਕ ਯੂ ਵੈਰੀ ਮਚ ਫॉर ਜੁਆਇਨਿੰਗ ਅਸ ਟੁਡੇ